Hey everyone, welcome to Liberty Theory Episode 2. Today Ryan and I talk about colleges and university. We wanted to talk about the university culture and or the environment of the modern day university, and also the more practical college is an investment in your long-term earnings potential. Is it worth it? We were only able to get around to the first part, and to begin the discussion on what it is like to be in a college nowadays, Ryan told, or is going to tell a story about uh, a semi-hostile environment that he found himself in after completing a assignment for one of his classes. So that's about it. This is part one. Part two will follow probably next week. Thanks for listening and enjoy. All right, cool. Well, Ryan, today we're talking about college. And when we were talking earlier about how we wanted to start, you were saying that you would like to tell a story about an experience you had that maybe talks about the overall culture that people might experience going to college.
Yeah, I had the good fortune of getting a very generous scholarship to an expensive private school, and I decided I wanted to become a teacher. My junior year, I got accepted to the program and started doing all my major coursework, and eventually I get to go do a shadowing of a teacher. So I go to the high school in the cities, and I do a journal. I do a big write up at the end of the week, talking about my experiences in the classroom. And this is, it's a long assignment, lots of ideas.
Sure.
Um, at one point, I mentioned how strange it seemed having one special needs student in a classroom of normal students with a teacher's aide in the classroom the whole time helping that one student seemed disproportionate. It seemed less than efficient, and so I mentioned that in my write up that it seems to me that there's a better way to organize this to save some money on these special needs kids and get everyone else a little bit bigger piece of the financial pie. So I turned the assignment in, and a week or two after the assignment, I get called into the office of the president of the college. So it's in a university, but it's the college, the education college and the university.
Yeah.
So I go to the office, and meeting me there is the president of the college and two of my professors. They sit me down, very serious looking, and told me that they were troubled by what I wrote in my journal,
Right.
and they were and and they were concerned that I didn't have the values that they felt were important for an educator to have. So they said that my thought that we should be spending less money on special needs students was indicative of a problem with my thinking about education. And this was sort of the evidence of my verboten attitude.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Ryan. I
Um,
think you've had a little bit too much to think.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know if I've heard that before. I like that.
Yeah.
So they have this really tense, sort of gross feeling conversation with me, trying to figure out what the hell is wrong with me. And eventually they tell me that I should consider leaving the program.
Right.
They eventually tell me that they're wondering if they should let me go from the program.
Damn.
And they told me I had a lot of soul searching to do to make sure I really wanted to be an educator. Well, they did their job well because walking out of that room, I didn't want to be an educator anymore.
Right.
This is years ago, so I spent some time today really, really searching back in my mind, trying to remember how I felt walking out of that room. The words I came up with, it felt like just a damp, numb terror that I was so confused. It's not that guilty terror when your parents catch you doing something bad. It's not that my life is in danger terror. It's that something so bad just happened and I don't even understand.
Oh yeah. That's probably even the worst. It's probably the worst kind.
I had drank the Kool-Aid. Is the weird part. I was the liberal student they wanted. I just really liked new ideas. I really liked uh, challenging ideas,
Oh yeah.
and,
your
and I
first
want
your first error was going to college.
um and I wanted to be that good liberal thinker. Um,
Yep.
and I had it all wrong. They don't want a liberal thinker. They just want a liberal.
Right. Yeah. They
Uh,
just want a uniform thinker, somebody who is on the same page.
So
Definitely.
I did end up leaving secondary education, but Ben, I got it wrong because I went into sociology,
Oh no.
and thank God I didn't know about Charles Murray or any of the other wonderful sociologists and statisticians that actually care about doing good research, because
Yeah.
I would have gotten, I would have had a much worse time studying sociology if I actually had knowledge about good sociologists. So I've spent a lot of time reflecting on this experience of mine, and a couple things really became salient in my mind about this experience. One was my forbidden thought. The Voldemort that I said, he who shall not be named, was
Yep.
not that the government shouldn't be in education. It wasn't that Common Core is a disaster, which Common Core didn't exist when I was in college, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that we shouldn't tax childless people to pay for our other people's education. It was financial minutia that wasn't allowed to be talked about. It was, let's take 10% or 20% of this program and put it somewhere else. What I had done, that I didn't know this concept existed, but what I was doing was I attacked a victim group. In my naive ways, I was thinking about how to do the most good, but I didn't take into account that you can't ever take a single dollar away from a victim class. Um,
Yep.
so I didn't get at the I could not understand why they were so upset, because it's like I just suggested pushing a couple $1,000s in a different direction. I don't understand why this is a problem.
Right. Yeah. That is pretty crazy. That lines up really well with kind of a trope of liberal thinking, whereas the uh, the intent is what's important and not necessarily the outcome. And
Sure,
that was
yeah.
kind of your maybe your mortal sin was trying to have a good outcome and forgetting the intent that thou shalt not question any dollar or
Well, well,
resources
well,
being given to
well,
so and
yeah.
so.
Christ, if I had been dumb enough to say that they should like cancel their diversity education program, I just would have been shot.
Yeah, exactly. It was a summary execution.
Yeah. At least all I did was attack disabled folk. Oh my
Right.
God.
Yeah.
Thank God it wasn't women or black people. That would have been
I
awful.
know. Yeah. So bad. Yeah. Well. Speaking of like overreaction, that's pretty much what they did to you. Was they pulled out the big guns immediately? Because you said that you didn't even know this meeting was going to happen or who was going to be in it, right?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you bring that up, because I had a couple more notes here before I wanted
Sure.
to put the controls in your hands here. I wrote down that it was an ambush, and that's not super relevant because that could just be a one-off thing. But it reminded me of so many of these news stories that I hear about a speaker having to cancel an appearance, or a conservative group getting shut down on campus.
Sure.
And I noticed that there's always this feeling of it being an ambush, which is there's no problem, there's no problem. Wait 1 week before the event, or just decide one day to go full bore, no warning assault on the offender. So
Yeah.
you say, so you get all your friends together and say, on now this is a problem, and you just go absolutely crazy and get it shut down in one flurry. or 1 week before Ann Coulter comes to speak at your college, then you put on all the pressure at once, this big media campaign, get everyone all outraged, and then within a day, the speakers has to cancel.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
that's just very reminiscent of an ambush, because the point of an ambush is your opponents don't have time to defend themselves. And this is exactly what's happening is this liberal spasm occurs so quickly that there's no time for a debate. They've won before the debate happened.
Right. Well, that is actually your term ambush is very fitting, because if we're talking in military terms, it is, a surprise attack that's designed to destroy and disable your opponent as quickly as possible, which is kind of exactly what you described, but like on a on a social level, on a social pressure
Yeah,
level.
yeah. Another parallel between my experience and what I see so often with these censorship stories is uneven numbers. I was unprepared to defend myself, even though I still did, and it was three tenured, big shot professors and presidents versus a junior in college.
Right.
And that's really obviously unfair to the students.
Oh
Um,
yeah, definitely.
if you just watch one of the 1,000 videos of some poor bastard with a Christian sign on campus, or some poor libertarian bastard doing an affirmative action bake sale, um, quite often what you see is two or three people saying something conservative or libertarian, and
Right.
10 people shouting them down.
And pitching a fit. Yeah,
And
definitely.
and so if you have one person acting like an animal and an idiot, maybe you feel comfortable standing your ground. But if you don't feel like you're about to get stampeded, you're going to think twice about coming back.
Right. It's definitely a huge bully tactic, and it's
This is not universal, this
yeah,
is, but it seems like a pattern.
definitely. It even appears that because this happens most often on the left, obviously, but it seems that they are even starting to eat their own. Like you would think, there are groups within liberalism that you would think would be allied with each other, but Bernie Sanders was shouted down recently. Was it at a university when you by some Black Lives Matters
Yeah,
people?
I actually I can't I don't think that was at a college. I think it was just in some city.
Maybe it wasn't a college. I can't
Sure.
remember. But as far as like liberal on liberal,
Yeah.
there's plenty of comedians who uh, get chased off a campus or cancel shows or have to deal with a lot of heat, even though they're part of the entertainment class, and the entertainment class is largely left and largely liberal. And so even these liberals that are coming to campus are getting very similar treatment to traditional enemies of the left, or I guess or rivals or whatever, like the right, which is an
Yeah.
interesting thing. So it's so reactionary, it's so knee jerk that it's even against people who traditionally would be considered your allies or people who or of like mind, which is an interesting kind of development for like a college.
Yeah, thinking about the righteous indignation. Me and you are no strangers to feeling righteously indignant.
All the time.
Yeah, but there's definitely a difference with how we deal with that. We get in a huff, I go rant to my wife, and then I go keep taking care of my kids,
Yep.
and do my thing, uh, which seems like the way to do it. I don't know if I've ever thought to myself, I need to shut that person up. When Bernie Sanders wants to sell my children's future in the form of a bond,
Yeah, to
uh,
China or the highest bidder.
I kind of hate the bastard for it, but I don't want to take away his right to say it. So we have to ask ourselves. I don't think we'll find a good answer here, but this censorious instinct is coming from somewhere, and It's the greatest irony is you're supposed to be able to be a communist or an Austrian economist or a fascist or a Nazi or a black supremacist. You're supposed to be anything you want on campus as long as you can defend your position. You can't even be a specific type of liberal on campus anymore. You've got to be the
Yeah.
right kind of liberal.
Right, you got to be a color inside the lines kind of liberal. Yeah, it's a very knee jerk authoritarian type of reaction to want to silence everyone around you that you don't like. Yeah, which is a sad thing for universities, which are supposed to be about diversity and the exposure to new ideas. Which now it's definitely become a perversion or even like the mirror opposite of that.
Well, you go back to what's the purpose of what's the purpose of the police? Well, serve and protect. Uh, Actually, it's not. What's the purpose of what's the purpose of elementary school? Oh, it's to teach your kids how to read and write and do math and socialize. Maybe. Uh, it's mostly to get the parents to make so that the parents can go work their asses off.
Right.
What's the
Yeah.
purpose? What's the purpose of a university? Oh, to expand the minds and hearts of our young students and expose them to new ideas.
Right.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh, uh, there's a whole lot of stated goals in our institutions that just don't hold up to scrutiny. Even legally, a university isn't legally obligated to expand your mind.
No.
Uh, just the same way the police aren't obligated to defend you.
Oh, right. Yeah.
The trope of universities are places for new ideas. That's something that people like me and you say to ourselves to feel better about the fact that university sucks.
Right. Yeah. They definitely fall short of what they claim to be. Yeah. And as far as people wanting to go to college, that's definitely something to keep in mind, so you don't get tricked into thinking, oh, I'm going to college and I'm going to learn a lot of things and be exposed to new people. Oh, not necessarily.
Well,
Either you got
yeah,
to walk in lockstep, or keep your head down so that you don't get, either a professor finds out you thought something they don't like, kind of like what you experienced, or having to hide. Uh,
Ben, I'm reminded of that stereotypical reality show thought cam where the guy's like, I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to play nice. I'm not here for this or that or that thing. I'm here to win, damn it. And I'll smash anyone that gets in my way. And I was forced to think about that when it came to college because it was, wait a minute, you wanna spend 4 years opening your mind and doing what a good American should do, uh, and uh, and ex- and becoming a better person. Well, dude, you can just go meditate, get some self knowledge, and listen to some philosophy lectures. You don't got to go to university for that.
oh,
Um,
right. Absolutely.
so there's this entire narrative that basically is designed to get you to not do a rational cost benefit analysis.
Oh, yeah.
Why
Of course. Yep.
why am I going to college? Why do I care about this? What is this getting me? Well, yeah, you don't need to spend 4 to 20,000 a semester to get your mind opened, or what will actually happen to get indoctrinated. That's a lot of money to get indoctrinated.
Oh,
Most people,
yeah. So
most
much.
most most people will do that for free. I'll indoctrinate you for free.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Or even for much cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think.
So
Yes. I think. This is very. This is just an idea. I guess it's just observational. It seems that over time, universities lean harder and harder on kind of non-STEM subjects. Like, I think there's a lot of people going to college now for, the arts or history, literature, kind of maybe
oh boy,
majors that are not necessarily economically as valuable as other majors. And
sure.
I think, just in my mind, that might be part of a larger turn in the culture of a university from learning, what is valuable, economically valuable, or even knowledge that is desirable, to this more social sciences kind of focus, which isn't necessarily as scientifically driven and is a little more fuzzy as far as concepts go. There seems to be a lot more focus on that nowadays, which coincides with university leadership being okay with stomping on
Yeah.
thought that they don't like, or not being totally inquisitive for other points of view and stuff. It seems like the movement to the social sciences might be something that just happens and correlates along with the transition that we've seen to kind of what we have now.
Well, I don't know the numbers, Ben, but I suspect what you just said is very true.
Yeah.
Japan just uh, just came out with a recommendation for its universities saying just cut all your social science programs. And the reason they recommended their universities cut their social science programs was they didn't have enough students. So, hey, we don't have enough students. Just cut out the crap and leave what matters. On the other hand, we've got this absolutely unnatural balloon of college students.
Yeah,
So you got to get them a major somewhere.
oh, exactly. And it seems it's more, well, as I see it, there are two main narratives when it comes to like encouraging kids to go to college. And one is kind of the more practical. Oh, a college degree is an investment in your future,
Yep.
and it'll make you more employable and increase your income over time and your gross income over your life. And the other one is the more whimsical, find yourself, experience new things and ideas and people. I think it's possible that those two, that the latter, I think is kind of bullshit, but I think it's been kind of welded to the more grounded and rational reason to go and get money and increase your earnings potential. And so when you have a dual message like that, it's, oh, I can go to college to increase my potential earnings, but I'm gonna major in medieval literature. It's like, whoa, whoa, tap on the brakes, buddy. The degree in and of itself, they're not all created equal. You're kidding yourself if you're thinking that studying medieval literature, your income's
Yeah.
potential is equal across the
Well,
board.
well, all of the engineers and all of the chemists are very all of those students are very happy that there's not 10 times more engineering and chemistry students.
Sure.
They're all happy that everyone's taking sociology and gender studies, because if everyone was taking engineering, they'd be making 30,000 a year instead of 100,000 a year.
Oh yeah, if the pool of employable people spikes, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
But what we're getting to is these students are doing the sociology, to some extent, even criminology or gender studies or even other softer subjects. These
Right.
guys are sapped. These guys are getting worked over. They're getting hustled.
Oh,
Uh,
definitely. Yep.
um, College is nothing but a networking opportunity for them. That's how they get their jobs.
But even like with just you were saying right there, it's like 35% of college graduates are in positions that don't even require a degree.
Yep.
And so even, yeah, you got to be doing some pretty good networking or get
Well,
pretty lucky.
I for how naive and idealistic I was in college, I still got pissed off when I was told by my professors and my guidance counselors that I needed to whore myself off and network, get a job.
Mm.
Because I'm like, dude, I'm going to college, I'm studying to get educated so that I'm useful, so that I can do good work. And you're saying the way I get a job is to kiss people's asses? And be like,
Right.
oh, I went to this college too. Oh, how about some of that nepotism? How about some nepotism over here, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in that fraternity. That's just sickening to me, But
Yeah. And that,
I'm actually years down the road. That kind of stuff is way more agreeable to me because it makes sense to hire someone that you know because you're much more likely to be able to trust them. Uh, but
Right.
but in the college environment, you're supposed to be getting educated so that you can do good things in the world and produce value. It's like, oh, it's basically just who kissed the best ass, you'll get the best job. And actually,
Right.
that's the strategy that they taught me as a sociology student. It was the way you get the best job is you network the best.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, I'm thinking about it right now, and I'm trying to decide, is that them conceding to kind of reality and how the world works, like, and like rationalism, or is that them, kind of being underhanded and trying to like circumvent meritocracy in a way?
Oh, sure.
Because right, in the real world, definitely connections will get you places,
Oh yeah.
and in the private sector, and also in the public sector, it'll also do that for you too. And actually, it'll get you promoted, even though you like, when you fail and then get promoted, fail your way to the top.
Fail your
It's
way to the
that
top.
I found it,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's and so that's a very real mechanism that the public sector uses, for deciding who gets what position. Yeah, so I think we could probably close off with any other points we have about the general culture in
You know,
universities.
I just wanted to point out that we spent this whole time talking about me, and I think that's awesome because I love me.
Yes.
So, geez, can we do that again? Okay, maybe
Yeah.
not. Maybe not.
The ego is not dead.
No, 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 it's live and kicking.
Yeah, and funny
I'm really
thing.
actually,
Oh,
I am working on completely killing myself and my identity and just being an absolute mindless automaton for the system. I'm working on it. I
yep,
really am.
totally. Yep.
I just need more time.
Excellent. Or just trying to reach total enlightenment through Buddhism. Isn't
Yeah,
isn't that
I'll
a
take
tenet of Buddhism?
I'll take it. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the positive spin we could throw on it. Yeah, because
Well, yeah, maybe next time around we can get into some of the harder stuff about and the more depressing stuff about what's going on these campuses.
exactly. Yeah, I have a number of links and articles about the cost of education, the prospects of getting hired, and how much you will get paid going out into the real world and stuff that is definitely worth looking into now that we've kind of beaten to death the things that we don't necessarily appreciate about the environment of the university. But if you still choose to go, it's good to know and kind of have a plan for the future about, is it going to be worth it? Is this investment going to be worth your time in the future? Are you going to be able to get employed? And all that good stuff. Okay, cool. Well, thanks,
Yeah.
Ryan. And we will see you all in part 2.
Toodaloo.